welcome to the first episode of Crescent City Wrestling's podcast. We have two Louisiana legends, or really three Louisiana legends, two currently wrestling, and then Matt Pinero, who's been helpful throughout this whole process. Coming into the Super Bowl of college wrestling, the NCAA tournament, I couldn't think of better individuals to get involved. They're at two different schools, two different regions, two different conferences, and I think they're going to be able to provide a lot of valuable insight to the children of Louisiana. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Coach Matt Pinero, Assistant Vice Principal Matt Pinero. We have Jacob Frost, Iowa State, 141, and then Josh Sarpy, 133 at the University of Little Rock, Arkansas. How y'all doing, boys?
Good.
Excited to be here.
Man, so kind of what's y'all's week look like leading up to this? I know probably that your team has already left, or is at least in the process of it. What was the last week look like to both of y'all? Josh, why don't you start?
Our last week was pretty simple. We kind of settled down on things, and everybody had kind of their own individual thing that they were working on, and they was learning nothing new, just focusing on little details and doing what they do best.
And then Jacob, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, last week was spring break. We kind of tapered a little bit, so practices weren't going too long. We picked up like the individuals, so coach would grab you and kind of bring you in, just work on little adjustments and obviously just all of your best stuff. And then last probably 3 days, there were short practices, but we kind of just did like, one or two matches or some situations that we kind of just worked through. So it was pretty much a big taper week, just working through things.
Awesome. And I guess so the whole point of this podcast was kind of to go and look at the NCAA brackets together, kind of go over some dark horses, individuals that we like, who we think is going to win, All-Americans, just kind of get some feedback. And I think all of us having diverse backgrounds will be able to provide some interesting insight. But before we go into the brackets, which Matt P is going to be able to help us pull up, why don't I let y'all highlight, and obviously we'll discuss them at the bracket level, but why don't y'all discuss the individuals y'all have coming in? I know y'all have qualified. Little Rock, Arkansas has qualified the most athletes in program history. So why don't we start with you, Josh?
So first off, we got Nasir Bailey. He's at 133. He qualified. I think in the bracket he's the 7 seed. He's a freshman. He's pretty good. And then we got Matty Bianchi. He's at 140. What is Matty at? 149? Is that what he's at? But we have Matty Bianchi, and then we have Joey Bianchi. They're both brothers. They're pretty good. And then we have Stephen Little, which is a sophomore. He stood out really good this year. He had a pretty good record. And then Josiah Hill snuck in there, and he got to qualify to go to nationals at heavyweight.
Awesome. Jacob, how about you, man?
I mean, I think our guys are looking really good. Obviously, this last week of training, all of them 25 through heavyweight. They've been looking really solid. Obviously, we got 9 guys going, and I think we got a lot of guys who have a really good shot of hitting the podium this year, honestly.
Awesome. Well, I guess let's just jump into it. Why don't we start at 125? I think we probably all wrestled that weight at one point in time, and I know I am nowhere near my weight class. I'm definitely bumping up a few weight classes. I'm on the upper side of the bracket these days. But I guess kind of who are some guys that stick out to y'all? Who are y'all most looking forward to seeing?
25 is kind of tricky. I feel like everything's been going a different direction when you say you want to watch somebody and then they end up losing.
Yeah, definitely been the most open weight class this year. I mean, the number one has changed about 15 times at some point, I think. So probably the most exciting weight class to watch this weekend, just in terms of the randomness of who can come out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a wide open weight class. I think, especially having just such a new freshman coming in and Braden Davis, Penn State. I know he's pretty tough. I was kind of jokingly, I talked to Rob Oob the other day. He kind of reminds me of an Anthony Oob, just with that little small baby face, and he seems to always be smiling. But really interested to see kind of how he does. Who do y'all have making it through the semis?
The semis. Um,
So the top side will probably be, obviously there could be a lot of upsets with 125, but I think the bottom side of the top, I think Ramos is going to come through that side and make the semis. And then it's probably going to be, it'll probably be Braden Davis because he does have a lot of wins over a lot of these guys. But I mean, then again, you really never know at this weight class. But I'd probably take Ramos and Davis.
Yeah, you stole my picks, Jacob. Yeah, so that's where I'm at too. I think that Ungar and Peterson match first round is a huge match. Both of those guys are really tough. Peterson's had some close matches with Davis, but Davis has continued to get better throughout the year. He's only a freshman. He can ride. It makes him dangerous. And I think Ramos, I'm feeling pretty good about, comes through on that bottom quarter. So yeah, I think that's probably your semifinal matchup at the top from my perspective.
So I have Ramos coming through on the bottom side, and then I have Richard Figueroa actually upsetting Davis in the semi or quarterfinals. I know it's kind of out there a little bit, kind of maybe went out on a limb and stretched there, but I think that kid Figueroa is pretty nasty. He's pretty quick, and like I said, like Matt P said, this weight's been, I think the number one seed has been changed 15 to 20 times, and so I don't think anyone's a true lock at this weight. One quarterfinal that I was actually really, I wouldn't say torn on, was Jorey Volk out of Wyoming. He is just an absolute stud. I know he was a cadet and Fargo double champ, world team member, 4-time Minnesota finalist, 3-time finalist, and talking to a bunch of my buddies around the country, that's someone that they really hold in a high regard. I think he's a freshman as well, but I do end up having Ramos beating him. And then I guess we'll go to the finals after, but let's jump down to the bottom half of the quarters.
So for me, on the bottom side, I think I've got to go with Ayala from Iowa, coming out of that top quarter. A lot of tough guys in there, but I think he's probably the guy that makes it through. And then in that bottom quarter, I actually kind of got an upset going. I think DiAugustino from Michigan. Michigan's tough, and this guy wrestles every match. I think pretty much every match he lost has been an overtime match or a close match. I can see him pulling out some upsets here to make the semifinal on the bottom. So that's kind of an upset pick for me.
Wow. You go ahead, Jacob.
So yeah, I would say I was going Drake as well for the semifinals. He's a Seabolt guy, I got a lot of confidence in him going into the semis, but he could have a pretty difficult match with Cooper Flynn's kind of tricky coming in there. Ego Provo is obviously really good too. Spratley's down there. So he's going to have a tough time getting to that quarterfinal or semifinals, definitely, but I think he's going to end up coming on top.
You go, Sarpy.
I was thinking the same thing with Drake. I was gonna say, I think he's gonna do pretty good, and then I kind of figured Troy would kind of meet him in the quarters, and I feel like if Troy's having a good game, I think it'd be a good little match to see who wins that one.
Yeah, they had a nice match on the dual meet.
I have Ayala coming through over Spratley. And then, someone that I'm really high on is Jacob Camacho from NC State. I think Pat Papalizio is just doing a phenomenal job every year in and year out, just cranking studs out. He's been in the program for a while, and I think I think he's going to end up upsetting Stanek of Lehigh in the quarters. And then coming out of the semis, I have Ramos over Figueroa, and then Ayala over Camacho, with Ramos walking away with it all. I think that's kind of a crazy one, but man, to come off that Spencer Lee win, and he's just had such, incredible success. That's kind of who I'm thinking is going to walk away with it at 125.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Davis getting it done in the semis and making the finals against Ayala. Probably a really difficult match for me, but I've seen improvement from Davis every week, and there's something about Penn State in the finals. They know how to win those big matches, and I feel like they're gonna turn the tide in that finals match, and Davis is gonna get a win.
I mean, I would probably say the same thing. Davis coming through that entire top side and then taking the whole thing. But I mean, with 125, it's probably going to end up like who feels best. Obviously, you have a few standout guys in there, but it's going to be quite a gauntlet to make the podium. But I do have Davis coming through the top side and winning that. I'm going to say he'll probably have Drake, honestly, in the finals, or Stanek, either one, but it'll probably Davis, I'm saying, come out on top of that one.
I completely agree with what he said. I think, like you said, Davis is gonna fly through the top half, and then it's gonna come down to who's on the bottom half. And I think Drake will end up pulling that off, and I think Penn State is gonna handle that up.
Yeah, one person I do want to point out to the state of Louisiana is Jet Strickenberger out of West Virginia. He was coached by one of ours, Chris Gilliott. He's coming in as the 19th seed. He wrestled from at Northwestern Kansas Tech, and then has since went on to West Virginia and really made some noise. So just wanted to kind of acknowledge Gilliott and all the success that he's having with his guys out there.
And one name to keep an eye on, I think it's interesting, none of us mentioned him, but Anthony Noto from Lock Haven, 12 seed. He took 4th last year. That guy's no slouch. He's a heck of a wrestler. He has a couple of losses this year that are maybe a little bit head-scratching. But if he's clicking at the right time, he could be somebody to totally blow up that bracket.
All right, y'all want to move on to 133?
Yep.
All right, I think it's only fitting we start with old Josh Sarpy.
All right. I feel like the bracket's set pretty good. You got Dayton Fix at the top. I feel like that's well deserved. The guy's been in the finals every time. He hasn't won one yet, but he I think he comes out on top on the top half, and then the bottom half, I feel like he can go a bunch of different ways. The Lehigh kid, he's pretty good. I'm looking at it now on my phone. Ryan, yeah, he's really good. But you got Vito on the bottom half too. That's always a strong guy. It's always in a bunch of different matches. You got the kid from Little Rock, Nasir Bailey, in there. He's a strong guy. Frost is in there. That's another good guy from Louisiana, and I think it's just a great bracket.
Why don't you go ahead, Jacob? Let's see what you got. You got your blood out there.
Yeah. So, Fix number 1, and so what could happen going into the semis. So we're gonna see Dayton, and possibly Evan again in the quarterfinals, just based off of seeds, which that'll be their 3rd time wrestling. So that could be definitely an interesting match. Obviously, I'm going to go with Evan on that one. But there's still, we still have Ragusan in there. We still have Sam Latona at 12. He's obviously a really good pick at 33. He's super dangerous in there. So, that could really go either way. Shawver he's had a really good Big Ten tournament, obviously, in a pretty good season. He picked up that win over Ragusan, but Ragusan's beat him, I think, twice during the year, right? Twice, maybe?
Yeah.
that could be something interesting as well going into the quarterfinals. But yeah, definitely a pretty good bracket. Yeah, these are actually really good matches on this top side.
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously Dayton's probably a favorite to make the quarterfinals, but Buzakis is tough. If he can get you before those gas tank issues kind of kick in, I think he cuts a lot of weight, it looks like, and that's an issue. And I think definitely too, it's going to be interesting for Evan. Getting Dayton a third time, he was close. He closed the gap this most recent match, and if Dayton's having to keep close to weight, and having to manage his weight, only be in the quarterfinals, that could be something. Definitely prime for an upset for a guy who's feeling the pressure of trying to win it, when he hasn't won it yet. So that would be a great match. And then I think, right now on paper, I've got to go with Fix, but definitely a match that's winnable for Evan. And then I think I'm with you guys with Ragusan and Shaver. But I think Ragusan gets him this time. Latona definitely could be the spoiler there. But I think Ragusan is pretty solid. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, I mean, Dayton Fix, I grew up, his dad was referee and coach, and Dayton was kind of younger than me. But, great family. I talk to Derek all the time. I mean, one match that I'm really excited about is Thursday night, Buzakis Fix. I mean, that, kind of, I know Dayton's getting a little bit older. Maintaining that 133 is a pretty tough. I mean, I have him going through to the finals over Ragusan in the semis. But man, just 133 is just an absolute gauntlet, and not, no one has an easy path by any means. I think Nasir Bailey is kind of, he's a 7 seed, so I wouldn't say he's the dark horse by any means. But man, do they really have some high expectations to him. And just want to give a shout out to Vasil Robinson, who's his coach, and Kevon's dad, and to the Harvey Twisters, just, having that local touch with us. We certainly want them to do well. I have Crookham coming through versus Arujao, and I have Arujao beating him in the semis. I think Arujao had probably one of the best NCAA tournaments I've ever seen, let alone in person or ever. Last year, I mean, he was just phenomenal, and it was very special to see. And he's had success through his whole life. He's faced a lot of adversity through his whole life, but whenever he gets on the biggest stage, he generally pulls through, and especially here more so later in his career. But I do, I have Ragusan and Fix through the semis. Who you got winning it all, Matt P?
Yeah, so on the bottom side, I've got Crookham and Arujao making it through. I do have Crookham beating Vito. He's banged up right now. He's not healthy, and he's not clicking like he was. If this was a healthy Vito, I don't even think it's a question. I think he's the number one guy. But right now, he's not healthy, and I can't pick him right now. He's lost to Crookham twice. Crookham, outstanding defense and crazy offense when he needs it. He's really very tactical. He's really smart when he attacks. So I actually have Crookham making the finals against Fix, and I have Crookham getting the win, actually.
Wow. How about you, Frost?
For this, I'm going to say, so quarterfinals, we're going to have most likely Kyrene and Vito, but I'm taking Vito to make the semis as technical upset. Like he was saying, I mean, when Vito's feeling good, he's going. He's really pretty much unstoppable. But he has been a little bit banged up. But I am still taking him over Kyrene. And bottom side quarters going into semis, I'm taking. It's going to be a tricky match between Nasir and Aaron Nagao. Both of those guys are obviously really good. But I'm going to say, I mean, that's going to be a really tricky match, honestly. I'm going to take Nasir going to quarter over Nagao. And then coming up through that bottom side, I'm going to say Crookham and then Crookham again to make the semis.
How about you, Sarpy?
I got obviously on the bottom side, I feel like Nasir can pull out all the way through the quarters and make it to the semis. I think he'll have a really hard match with Ryan Crookham, but every match that Nasir has, he's always in, and it's like a takedown away. So I feel like Nasir could strongly, if his head's in the right place, I think he can make it through there. I think he'll have another match against Vito in the semis, and we'll just have to see how that one goes. I think I'm gonna have to go with Nasir beating Vito this time though, and going into the finals.
And then who you got to win it all?
To win it all, I'm gonna have to go with if Nasir makes it to the finals, I'd have to go with Nasir beating Dayton Fix.
Matt P, Frost, who y'all got?
Crookham
Yeah.
over Fix.
Yeah, I would say Crookham. I mean, he's had a really great season. He's ever since he beat his teammate and then Vito earlier in the season. I mean, he's been on top pretty much the whole time. So he's looking like the favorite for me to win, to be honest. But
I got Fix over Rujao. I think while he's as tough, he's a number one seed. I think that there's a little bit of partiality in me just wanting him to do well just because of the family ties we have with them. But I think he's as good as anyone. And with that being said, let's move into 41. Matt P, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so 141, tough weight class. Jesse Mendez from Ohio State moves up from 133 and gets the 1 seed. Ryan Jack back in action, getting down to the 4 seed. Real Woods, returning finalist at the 3 seed. And Bo Bartlett, your returning 3rd place finisher at the 2 seed. So deep weight class. On the top side, I've got Mendez making the semifinals after a tough match with Lemley. And I have Ryan Jack making the semis against him. And I think I've got Mendez coming out of that top semi into the final.
Frost?
yeah, Mendez is looking really good this season. I think it'll probably end up being him and Lemley in the quarterfinals, which I have him coming out on top and making the semis. And then bottom side, I'm honestly liking Anthony's odds, Echemendia's odds against Ryan Jack. So I think he's gonna have a really tough match there, especially second round against either Josh Edmond or Wyatt Henson. Those 2 guys have had really good seasons as well, obviously. But I'm saying it's gonna end up being my boy Anthony Echemendia in the semis. So it'll be a battle between him and Mendez probably.
Sarpy.
Yeah, I'm thinking Jesse Mendez is gonna work his way on to the semis, but I think I don't know if you call him a black horse or not. I think Wyatt Henson can maybe come out and upset some guys and get up there to have Jesse Mendez in the semis.
I have Mendez and Lemley coming through. Do want to point out that Thursday night match with Brock Hardy of Nebraska and Lemley. Mendez is tough coming up from 33. I haven't gotten to see him as much as I would have liked this year. But coming from the program, I know who he is. But man, Lemley, I think he's in every match. I think he's pretty dangerous. Pretty dangerous wrestler. It's a 1 point, 2 point loss every single one. And if I'm not mistaken, he's coming in as a freshman, so he's kind of got that dangerous freshman approach. One match that I guess was the quarters I was really torn up about was Ichimedia and Ryan Jack of NC State. I think that they're going to get there relatively easily. I think they're both pretty heavy favorites coming into the quarterfinals. And then I would say I have Jack coming through with Mendez and Jack in the semifinals.
So moving on to the bottom side, I think it's interesting. First off, Real Woods, your returning finalist, hits returning All-American Clay Carlson first match, right? So Carlson finished 8th last year in this weight class. So that's kind of a brutal 30 seed there. And then Bo Bartlett down at number 2. Cole Matthews gets an 18 seed. I'm not really sure how that happened. He beat a number of guys that are seated ahead of him, including the number 6 seed McNeil. That Bartlett Matthews second round match is a quarterfinal match from last year that Bartlett won a 1 point victory in. So that's going to be a match to look out for. But I do think that Real Woods gets it done. I think he makes it to the semifinals against Bartlett. I think Bartlett does squeak out a win, as he tends to do, and he makes the finals against Mendez.
Frost?
Yeah, I was pretty much gonna say the same exact thing. We had Cole Matthews and Clay Carlson who could both pretty much destroy this bottom side, if it goes their ways. But I am still gonna say we're gonna probably end up seeing Real Woods and Bo Bartlett in the semifinals. But I wouldn't count those two dudes out, as well as Lachlan McNeil. I wouldn't count him out either. Let's see. Tagging Jamison, a freshman, he's had a really good season as well. So, I mean, it really could go any way for these guys. This bottom side does have a couple of dark horses in it, but I do think it's going to be Real Woods and Bo Bartlett.
Yeah. Oh, you go, Sarby.
All right, I think they hit it pretty good. I think Real Woods is gonna make it all the way to the semis, and then yeah, Bo Bartlett would do pretty good. The Cole Matthews guy is good, but I feel like whenever you meet up with Bo Bartlett there, he's gonna have his mindset to keep going. And then I think it'll be a pretty interesting match though in the semis with Real Woods and Bo Bartlett.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of damage. I like Cale Happel out of UNI at that 7 seed. I don't think he's going to beat Bo Bartlett, but that's certainly a match I'm looking forward to. I really love UNI and kind of their culture and everything that they're creating. I think Woods coming in into Iowa, finishing up his second year. They kind of brought him in through the transfer portal. I think it's going to be pretty easy. Not easy, but I think I'm pretty confident that it will be Woods and Bartlett that make it through the semis. Bo Bartlett, man, I've been watching him pretty close, and we'd met at the collegiate duels and just, kind of kept following him from there. And he at one point was kind of maybe a weaker link in their lineup, and now is just an absolute stud. But he's never left the lineup either. He's wrestled in every single tournament. He's been healthy the whole time, and he's really just been improving and improving. And I have him beating Real Woods in the semis and versus Mendez in the finals, and I actually have him walking away as the champ. I'm interested to see. It seems like these Penn State guys and Cale, they're just able to figure out how to turn it on in March, and they always do better than worse whenever it's March. So, Matt P., how about you?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I've got Bartlett and Mendez round 3. Both matches have come down to one takedown. This most recent one, Mendez got it done. But, one thing we've seen about Penn State is the Big Tens don't really matter. It's all practice for the finals. And I think when it's the finals, Bartlett gets it done.
Frost?
Yeah, I'm going to take Mendez and Bartlett going to the finals. They're 1-1 right now. So really, I mean, both matches they've already wrestled were from late takedowns. So it really could go either way. It's kind of a coin toss for me, but I think I'm going to go Jesse Mendez for this one. He's been looking really strong, and I think, yeah, it's going to be a really great match to watch probably. So.
I put Bo Bartlett down, kind of going off of what Matt says. I think it's gonna be him and Jesse Mendez in the finals, and kind of hard to count out a Penn State kid when he's in the finals. They tend to get the job done.
All right, on to 149. Who wants to take it first? Why don't you go, Frost?
Yeah, I can take this one. So let's see. Lovett is going to come down. I think he's going to come down, have a pretty good time going down to the quarterfinals, and I think he'll end up having Casey Swiderski in the quarterfinals there. Bottom, I'm going to say, I think we're going to have, probably Ty Waters and Caleb Henson make it to the bottom half quarterfinals. But also, I could see Caleb Ratchey kind of messing something up in there. He's been having a really good season, and who's end up going to end up into the semis. I'm going to say Henson's probably going to come up through that bottom, and then I think it's gonna be a really good match between Swiderski and Ridge Lovett. So I don't really know. I want to take Swiderski on that one, but I think it's gonna be a really good match.
Who you got, Matt P?
Yeah, I think Ridge Lovett and Swiderski definitely is your quarter up at top. Going to be a great match. I think Lovett probably squeaks one out there. Very dynamic wrestler. I think Waters and Henson probably is the bottom quarter, but I agree with Jacob that Ratchie is definitely a guy that could throw a wrench into things. I think Henson's probably a little too much, but he's definitely a guy that could make some noise. So I think it's going to be Lovett and Henson, and I think Lovett makes the finals on this top side.
Yeah, I think they're pretty right on that. I got Levitt up top, going all the way. On the bottom half, I'd have to go with Caleb Henson. I don't really know much about these other guys, but I've heard Caleb Henson a lot and seen a lot about him, and he's a pretty good guy, you know. So I think it would be Ridge probably coming out, making it to the semis on top, though. Ridge Lovett.
Yeah. And then you got Lovett and who?
Lovett
Henson?
and Caleb Henson.
Yeah, same here. I have Casey Swiderski, absolute beast, 4-time Michigan State champ. Also, got a comment on that pretty sweet mullet he's rocking, or at least has rocked at one point in time. That's kind of near and dear to my heart. So I definitely want to see him do well, and I just really like how he wrestles. There was a handful of brackets in this tournament that I just fill out. You don't have to look at who the matchups were, and this was the first one that I'd come across. Nothing to take away from the other wrestlers, but man, I love Ridge Lovett. I remember, the first time I'd watched him wrestle, I just knew that he was special, and then he ended up making it to the finals as a freshman, where he dropped a decision to Yanni, which needless to say is quite the feat, and not many men have conquered that hill. Lost that match 11-5, but had an undefeated high school career, and just really, really like, he's funky. And then because he came in at 33, and I think now up at 49, and he's still been able to maintain that level of success, has been pretty impressive to me. So I do have him beating Casey Swiderski. I have Waters and Henson in the quarters, and then Henson coming out of that. So love Henson in the semis. And then we'll move down. Give Jackson Arrington again, NC State. I think he's pretty tough. I like the kid Dylan D'Amelio out of Ohio State, but I think Arrington gets the better of him. And then you have Austin Gomez, another transfer that Michigan brought in their kind of run to where they're trying to they won the Big Tens last year, and now they're trying to bring a national title back home to Ann Arbor. And I actually have Gomez upsetting Arrington there. Gomez is just so electric. He's super, super upper body, can throw you at any point in time, and he's just dangerous. He's wrestled. I feel like he's wrestled in this tournament 10 times now. So he's definitely got the age and the experience over virtually anyone. But I have him coming through. And then, the guy who I really, really like at 149 would be Tyler Kasich out of Penn State. He actually was a 2023 U.S. Open champion. He's a freshman. He had beaten Ohio State and then went on and actually won a world silver medal. Just his credentials are through the roof, and I think the future is very, very bright for him. And I actually have him upsetting Kyle Parko out of Arizona State, the number 2. So that would put Gomez and Kasich in the semis.
Yeah, you stole my bracket, man. Yeah, I think Arrington gets to Gomez, but Gomez is a little too much, too dynamic. I've got Kasich. Great first match there with Kasich and Abbas. Abbas, All-American in the past. But I think he gets it done, and I think he gets the upset over Parko. I think Gomez is probably a little too much for him in the semis. But I do like him to make that semifinal where he ultimately falls to Gomez.
All right. What about you, Frost?
Now I'd say we're gonna see Arrington and Gomez in the quarters. I'm gonna take Arrington on this, but I wouldn't doubt if Gomez did something funky to him because he is very dangerous. All upper bodies, throws, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna take Arrington making the semis, but we could definitely see Gomez hitting the semis that top half. Bottom half quarters, I'd say it'll probably be Kasek and Parko. I'd say Parko might have a little bit of an easier chance making that quarterfinals. And like he was saying, Abbas is still very dangerous at 26. But I think Kasek's going to come through that bottom. And I'm going to say we're going to see Arrington and Parko probably in the semifinals. And I think, gosh, that's a tough one for me, honestly. I'm thinking Parko comes out on that one to end up making the finals. But these are going to be some really good matches.
Yeah, I kind of have the same thing as Coach Rab. I got Arrington and Gomez making it to the quarters. I feel like Gomez is gonna pull it off, but like y'all said, I feel like it's a coin toss of who's gonna win that match. For the bottom half and the quarters, I would put Tyler and Kyle on there. I really feel like Kyle would pull that match off. I feel like he's can be disciplined enough to pull off that match and win that and end up in the semis.
And then who you got winning it all?
Winning it all.
Who's in the finals? Who's winning? Who's walking away champ? Sarpy?
I'm gonna say Lovett's gonna walk away as the champ. That's what I wrote down.
Frost, Panera?
Yeah, I'd probably say I want to take Parko, honestly, but I think Lovett might pull that one.
I've got Lovett and Gomez in the finals, and they're both going to go for broke. Somebody's getting launched. I think Lovett gets the win, probably by like major decision because he catches him trying to throw or something like that.
Yeah, I have Lovett over Gomez in the finals. So I mean, I'm interested to see. And then Sarpy, why don't you start with 57?
You're gonna start me on the one I don't have much on, huh?
Well, go to Frost then. Whoever,
Like-
Panera, whoever.
I can take it. So 157, really stacked weight class. A lot of guys coming back between guys that placed at 157 and guys that placed at 149 last year. Up top, you've got Levi Haynes, number one, returning finalist. At 17, right below him, Brock Mahler was a placer at 149 last year. Will Luan placed 8th last year at this weight. Peyton Robb, 6th at this weight last year. Bryce Andonian down at 12 seed. He took 7th at this weight last year. Michael Blockus at 13 was the placer at 8th at 149 last year. And you've got Ed Scott, who took 5th at this weight last year. So just on that top side of the bracket, you've got all those guys. I think Levi gets it done on the top. He's looking like a buzzsaw right now. Outstanding offense and defense. I think on the bottom quarter, you probably get Ryder Downey and Scott from NC State. Downey's impressed me a lot this year. Great scrambler, tough wrestler. I think he's going to get it done and make it to the semis against Haynes, and I have Haynes getting past him in the semifinals.
Frost?
Yeah, I'd probably say the same thing. Haynes working his way all the way to the semis, but I wouldn't count out Will Luan. He's had a couple of matches with Luan as well. I don't think Luan's going to stop him, but I think that could potentially be a close match.
Well, every match with Will Luan is a close match.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Levi's going to take it down and make that one. Ryder Downey, obviously coming off a Big 12 champ. He's looking really good. Peyton Robb's looking really good. So I think it's going to end up being Levi Haynes and Peyton Robb making that one. I think he's going to take out Saldate. and Levi Haynes is going to come out and make the finals on that side. But he's going to have probably Ed Scott, and Donian and Blockus are both going to be tough matchups coming out of that one. But I think Scott's gonna pull it off, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really have much about this weight class. I can't go against a Penn State guy, but I feel like Levi Haynes will make it through there. I don't really know much about Peyton Robb, but I've seen some videos on him. He's a pretty detailed wrestler. I feel like he's really good. Ryder Downey, I don't know much about him. Y'all keep highlighting him. Seems pretty good. Ed Scott, I've seen him wrestle. I feel like on the bottom half, he's the main name I know. On the top half of the bottom part, but so I'm gonna have to go with Ed Scott for the bottom and Levi Haynes for the top.
Right, I have Will Lewin beating Patrick Robb through the round of 16. Then you have Levi and Luan in the quarters. I think Downey is going to, and Donian's pretty good. I like him out of Virginia Tech, but I don't foresee that Downey is, going to have too much trouble with him. I think Ed Scott, makes it through. I think Blockus is good, but he's kind of been kind of more in a down year. And so I think I have Levi Haynes and Scott in the semis. And then, kind of want to jump down. Then we'll go down to the lower half of the bracket. And you have Meyer Shapiro, who I've worked with in the past. I know his dad. A bunch of my buddies have coached him. And, man, he has come onto the scene and just been an absolute problem. He's a world champ. U20, national champ. I mean, he's just had success everywhere that he's gone. And coming into college and then walking and getting into that Cornell room, I was really excited to see what he'd be able to do and how much he would be able to improve and kind of continue to build on it. So he's my favorite coming out of the lower side of the bracket of 157. I have Cardenas and Shapiro in the quarters. And then one guy that I really like, who I think's just absolutely nasty, is Jared Franek of Iowa. Another transfer coming in, 4th place, returning All-American from North Dakota State University. And, man, that 10 seed is very deceiving. He is very, very deceiving. This is probably a little bit of an aggressive approach that I have, but I think he may be able to come in and maybe upset Teamer in the quarters. Like I said, it's probably a little bit of aggressive, but I was a little excited when I was filling up my bracket. And I did that. But I think Teamer's really good. Arizona State's been doing a great job with, Zeke Jones. And so really interested to see. I think the top half of the bracket is just tough as nails, and then I think the bottom half is going to equally be as difficult.
Chad, we spent too much time together because I'm thinking the same thing. I've got Shapiro, tough match with Chittum, but I think he gets it done. Interesting match with Cardenas. Cardenas is a dude who's beat him this year, but I think he gets it done there. That was earlier in the year. And I think Franek is going to be the guy that upsets Teamer. I'm being really disrespectful to Arizona State so far. I'm sorry to those guys, but I think Franek gets it done, and I think Shapiro is too much for him in the semifinals, and Shapiro makes the finals against Haynes.
Wow. Yeah, we got it. Hey, Frost, talk to us about Cody Chittum. Heard a lot of really good things about him, looking into kind of his credentials. He's a freshman, right?
Yep, freshman.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about him?
He's a goer, man. I'll tell you, he is a goer. So I would not count him out with that Meyer Shapiro match because both of them are really scrappy guys. I mean, both of them have a lot of offense. They both kind of have like a weird sort of style to them. But Meyer kind of, and I think it was in Vegas maybe, when he wrestled Cardenas, or I think it was somewhere around that time. He kind of gassed out a little bit, and I think Chittum's gas tank could possibly get to him. So I think that's definitely going to be a really interesting match between those two. but I wouldn't count Cody Chittum out as a 14 seed because he's had 2 really close matches with Ryder Downey on the top side, and he's I think 4 or 5 seeds. So I think he's going to be the dark horse on this bottom side, to be honest. But I don't know. I don't really see Teamer coming out of this one, so I kind of agree with you guys. Frantic could come out of that. Again, Chittum could come out of it. Shapiro could come out of it. There's a lot of good guys in this weight class that it really could go either way. So
Yeah, Jacory, he's really good. He's got Maddie up first round. He beat Maddie whenever they wrestled last, but Jacory doesn't seem like the type of guy to have a really good gas tank on him either. So I feel like whenever Maddie wrestled him, he wrestled really good. Whenever he got to the point to where Jacory got a little tired, I think Jacory kind of avoids that. Maddie's obviously he's got a hard first match against Jacory, but I don't see Jacory making it to the or I think he makes it to the semis and then loses.
Yeah, so I think in the finals I've got Haynes over Shapiro, and I think a pretty solid win.
Yeah, same. I have Levi Haynes over Shapiro in the finals as well.
I think I cut out. Did I cut out from y'all?
A little bit, maybe towards the end. But who you got? Who you got in the finals, and who's going to win?
I think Shapiro's gonna make it to the finals with Jacory will pull it out on the bottom.
So you have Levi winning in the finals?
Yes.
You cut out. Okay, yeah. Frost?
Yeah, I have Levi as well.
All right. 65. Matt P, you go.
Yeah, probably my favorite bracket of the tournament. A lot of buzzsaws in this bracket. Keegan O'Toole, couple-time champ at the 1 seed. David Carr, champ at the 4 seed. Hamidi, somebody who's really tough at the 5 seed. Down at the bottom, probably my new favorite guy to watch wrestle, Mitchell Messenbrink, at the number 2 seed, and then Julian Ramirez from Cornell at the 3. Just a absolutely loaded weight class. I think, Keegan's going to make the quarterfinal. Peyton Hall is an interesting guy to watch. He's had some tough matches with Keegan before where Keegan's needed to get a takedown right at the end to get it. But I think Keegan does get it done. I think the Hamidi and Carr match is going to be a great match to watch in the quarterfinals. But I think David Carr is going to be too much. So we're going to see our repeat of the Big 12 finals in the semifinals on Friday night.
Frost?
Yeah, I agree with him on that one. We're gonna see O'Toole and David on the rematch. Obviously, I'm taking David over Hamidi in the quarters, and then it'll probably end up being Keegan and Taylor in the quarters on the top half. But I think David and O'Toole will have pretty good wins over those guys and end up making the semis.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I see Keegan making it all the way to the quarterfinals, having to wrestle Peyton. I think Keegan's a very successful and experienced wrestler. I think he pulls that off. Same thing with David Carr. I think he's going to go all the way to the quarterfinals and then have to wrestle Keegan in the semis. And I just feel like they're both, David Carr and Keegan O'Toole, are successful, experienced wrestlers. I think they're going to end up having to wrestle each other again.
Yeah, I have Keegan O'Toole, just someone that it's really hard to bet against, to ever count him out of any match. Just a really, really impressive career, and collegiately at the world level, U20s, etc. I know he's one of Askren's guys. Is Messenbrink one of Askren's guys as well? No,
Yes,
Wisconsin too. Yeah, that's what I thought. And so really, really interesting. Side. I guess we'll wait to get the Messenbrink on the bottom. But I have O'Toole and Taylor in the quarters. I have Hamidi. I love Hamidi. I think he's just an outstanding wrestler. I have Carr beating Hamidi, and then In the semis, I have O'Toole over Carr. Although personally, I would like to see Carr. I just think he's a great role model, and it's nothing against O'Toole. I think he's a great role model. The handful of times that I have encountered him, he's been extremely polite and thankful, and just really appreciative to even be at a wrestling tournament and competing. I hope to see him do well, and just mainly because I don't like Mizzou from my Oklahoma State days either. So hoping for Carr, but betting on O'Toole.
Yeah, so going down to the bottom, I've got Ramirez hitting Caliendo from Iowa in the quarterfinals, where I actually have Caliendo getting the upset there. I think Caliendo's really good. I just think he's been in the Big Ten where he's going up against a couple hammers. Had a close match with Hamidi, not so close match with Messenbrink, but nobody's really had close matches with Messenbrink. So on the bottom side, I've got Messenbrink over Amin in the quarterfinals, and I think Messenbrink takes it to Caliendo again in the semifinals and makes the finals with an all Askren finals of O'Toole and Messenbrink.
Sarpy?
I think Julian Ramirez is gonna make it on the top half all the way to the semis. I feel like I like watching him. I think he's a cool guy to watch wrestle. I feel like on the bottom half, Messenbrick, it's a big name. Like you said, he hasn't had very many close matches at all, and I feel like he's a pretty big stud that he'll also be in the semifinals against Ramirez.
Frost?
Yeah, I'm taking Mitchell Messenbrink coming up through that side, the bottom side, to get in the semis. Ramirez definitely could come down, but I wouldn't be surprised if Caliendo got him. But I'm still gonna say Ramirez is gonna come down, Messenbrink coming up, and then I'm taking Messenbrink going to the finals against David Carr.
So I have Ramirez coming through. I think we have a tight match with Ramirez and Caliendo. Caliendo, another transfer portal guy to Iowa from North Dakota State. I think he got 7th last year. That was kind of another school. I feel like Northwestern and North Dakota State both kind of got decimated by the NIL transfer portal. But it's good to see those guys still maintaining some success. And I actually have Caliendo beating Ramirez in the quarters. Going down at the lower half of the bracket, one match that I think is very interesting is round of 16. You got Oklahoma State, Isaac Olenek, and then Cam Amin from Michigan. I think both of those are just outstanding wrestlers. I think Olenek's going to end up winning that one. At least I hope so, just because that's my alma mater. Nothing against Kevin Jackson. I don't know if he's going to listen to this, but I hope all your guys do well too, buddy. And then, we have Messenbrink. It was funny coming into this season, even is kind of someone I've been looking at. He's a 3-time Wisconsin state champ, third place. He's a 74 kilogram world champ. I think he was a 70 kilogram world silver medalist, both U20 age division. So he's kind of been a problem and someone that I've been watching through his high school career. And he was kind of my early on in the season was like, watch this guy. That guy's going to be a dark horse at nationals because he's going to be a dark horse at nationals. And now we're at nationals. He's the 2 seed. So he is no longer a dark horse. I think he's a problem. I think we're going to be talking about him for the next 4 years or however long he is at Penn State. But I do end up having Messenbrink over Caliendo. And then I have O'Toole beating Messenbrink. He's got the age, he's got the experience, and I just think he's going to have a little bit better, the better matchup there over Messenbrink.
I agree. I think you got it dead on.
All right, 74, Frost.
Yep. So this is kind of tricky because we have Makai Lewis, Carter Strachey, and Shane Griffith all on that same exact side. So
I don't have any clue what the seating committee was doing on this.
I don't know. Yeah, putting him at 9 is actually kind of crazy, but it is what it is. But I think he is going to obviously have a really tough quarterfinals match with Mackay. I think he's going to come out on top of that one, and then making the semis. I've got Griffith coming up, and making the semis on that one. But Patrick Kennedy's had a really good season, so I mean he could be Loki a dark horse at 12 seed. Simma's still really good. Yeah, I'm gonna say Strachey's gonna make the semis and then end up winning against Shane Griffith and making the finals.
I'd agree with him. I think Mackay is gonna make it to the quarterfinals and have a good match with Starachi, and then that I'm gonna have to go with Mackay Lewis on that, and on the bottom half, Shane Griffith is another dude that's just really, really good, and he'll make it to the semis and have to wrestle Mackay Lewis.
You got Mackay Lewis over Starachi. Like that. I like that, Sarpy. Srirachi, especially giving him the 9 seed. He was one of the, I think, probably second bracket that I filled out where it was just like Starachi. You didn't need to look at matchups. I think Mackay Lewis is a phenomenal wrestler, but giving the disrespect of giving Carter Starachi, arguably the best wrestler pound for pound, the 9 seed, I think he's going to come out and just maul everyone. I don't want to wrestle him to begin with, and I definitely don't want to wrestle him this weekend. I think he's going to come out and prove a point and be very, very strong. An interesting upset that I do have is Patrick Kennedy from Iowa over Canigliaro of Harvard. I don't know if I said that properly. I don't go to Harvard. I'm from the South, so we'll just say it my way. I have Kennedy over him, and then Griffin just. National champ over at Stanford, Del Barton guy, Brian Stoll, and an Apex with Damian Logan. I know his coaches very well, and they say that as good of a wrestler as he is, he's an even better person. So I have Griffin over Kennedy in the quarters, and then Starachi over Griffin in the semis to make it to the finals.
So assuming he's healthy, I think Starachi rolls. I don't think it's even a question here. So I've got him beating Mackay and rolling right along into the semifinals. You started off good, Chad, with your Kennedy upsetting Canigliaro, but actually I've got Kennedy beating Griffith as well. Griffith was hurt in the Big Tens, didn't wrestle in the finals. He actually got hurt wrestling Kennedy in a match that Kennedy was very, very competitive in. So I think Kennedy is going to get it done. He's going to get the upset over Griffith. And he's going to make it to the semifinals where he loses a fairly one-sided match to Starachi.
All right, and let's jump down to the bottom half of the bracket. Frost?
Yeah. Let's see. All right, here we go. Edmund Ruth, I'm going to say it's going to be him, and I'm taking Rocco Welsh in the quarterfinals. And then that bottom is going to be DeVos and Wolak. Actually, probably he's had a really good season. I think our dark horse could be MJ because he is dangerous. He's kind of like Gomez. He's dangerous from anywhere, anytime. He can throw you. He can do whatever. Doesn't matter what the score is. So I think he's going to be our dark horse, and I actually have him over DeVos in the quarters. I have him going semis. And the top side, Edmund Ruth and Rocco Welsh. I mean, it really could go either way. I think Rocco Welsh could take that one, but I mean that's going to be a really good match. So,
yeah, I like the way you think there. I've got Welsh taking out Ruth. He's lost to him 2 very competitive matches thus far, but I think he gets it done at this one. And I think DeVos does win a close match. In the quarterfinals. But I think ultimately I've got Rocco Welsh being a finalist on this bottom side.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rocco Welsh is a really good standout wrestler in this bracket. I got him and Edmund Ruth going up to the quarterfinals, and I don't really know what that match would do or who would go out. I would really like Welsh to win that one. On the bottom side of it, I don't really know that many of them. I know the Cade DeVos kid; he's really good. And I feel like he would just stick it out and win through there on the bottom half of this.
Yeah, I have. So I have Edmund Ruth. Not quite Ed Ruth, Penn State 3-time champ, but really hard to bet against the Ruths in the NCAA tournament. I have Ruth over a close match over Welsh in the quarters. MJ Gayton, that's actually someone that I'd looked at, and then really TJ Miller had actually brought him up to me and reminded me of him that, kind of his Fargo, being a Greco champ at Fargo, and then Pan Am silver as well. So just kind of being just a nasty, funky guy that, could throw you on your head at any point in time. And as we've seen historically, anything can happen on this weekend in March. So I have, I do end up having Davos over Gayton, and then I have Davos over Wallach. So making it a Davos Ruth semifinal. And then, as we said, Starachi over Ruth in the finals.
Well, I'm hoping if Makai Lewis pulls off on the top half, hopefully Shane Griffith could win it.
Oh, okay. You got it. Oh, okay. Griffin beating Lewis. Wow. Okay. How about you, Frost?
Assuming he's healthy, I got Strachey running through. But if he's not healthy, who knows? Who knows what could happen?
All right.
Yeah, I've got Starachi at 60% beats everybody.
All right. All right. Let's roll. All right. 184. You want to start, Matt P?
Yeah, Parker Kakaisen, just a solid guy. I mean, I think he's hands down the favorite in this weight class. You go to Will Feldkamp. It's kind of an interesting guy at 17. All-American last year at Clarion, transferred to Iowa State. Dangerous upper body guy. I think Kakaisen's probably too much for him, but he can definitely make some noise in this bracket. Munoz, Oregon State is our 4 seed. Pinto, the 5. I think everything pretty much holds to scratch here. And I think that Kakaisen makes the semis against Munoz. And I think Munoz falls short of the upset bid.
Frost?
Yeah, I think Kekaisen, Big 12 championships, he and obviously all season, he's displayed his offense pretty well. So I see him running through this top side, making the semis and then making the finals. Munoz is going to be a really good guy. He's going to have in the semis, I'm taking. But the Air Force guy, Nebraska guy, Wolf and Pinto are probably going to run through there, and they're going to have – it's going to be probably Kekaisen and Wolf. I'm going to say quarterfinals. I'm taking Kekaisen to the semis. And then I'm going to say it's going to be Pinto and Munoz. Yeah, I'm gonna take Munoz on that one and say seeds hold pretty well, and I'm taking Kekaisen going in the finals.
Yeah, I think this one's made out pretty good. I'm gonna have to go with Parker winning the top side of it. He's pretty outstanding wrestler. I feel like when you go to Trey Munoz though, on the bottom half of this, he's also a really good wrestler. And I think he wins that part. And they both meet up in the semifinals, and I'm gonna have to go with Parker winning that one.
Yeah, you have a NCAA runner-up and then 2-time third placer out of Kakaisen. I think he's going to win it pretty decisively. I don't really see anyone truly challenging him too much. I'd love to see Munoz. His dad's a good friend of mine, but I think he's going to have his hands full. Dustin Plott seems like he's just been on an absolute tear this year. I have him going through and actually upsetting Salazar of Minnesota. Minnesota just doesn't seem like they've really been clicking like they have historically. One match that I really am excited about, and I think is kind of probably one of the better matches in the 184 bracket, is the quarters with Plott and Bernie Truax because he was Cal Poly and then now Penn State, and he's kind of moved around a little bit, but just a fun wrestler. But I have Kakaisen over Plott in the finals.
So I've got Truax upsetting Plot in the quarterfinals, making the finals with a win over Salazar from Minnesota. But I think Kakaisen just takes it to him. I think Kakaisen is hands down the best guy in this bracket.
All right, 97.
So no disrespect to everybody else in the bracket, but this is pretty much Aaron Brooks and Hidley for me. I don't think it's even.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Brooks and Hidley definitely. I think they're gonna come through and make the finals with each other. I don't. They're like just, I think, a level above everybody else. I don't see either one of those guys getting upset.
I'd agree. I feel like the Stephen Little, he's ranked number 9. He's another one of the Little Rock kids. I feel like he's somebody that's just grown in the wrestling sport really well too, though. Obviously, he's on the tough side of the bracket, but that kid, I just feel like he's in every match. He's in a match, Is really good, really athletic, good kid.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Aaron Brooks is on the same side. That's a tough matchup.
Yeah, this was one of those where I just filled out the bracket, without having to look at anyone else. I know the Hidley brothers are just great wrestlers, but AB has just been, the last loss I think of his college career is going to be down here in New Orleans when we had the collegiate duels. I don't foresee us ever seeing that happen again, especially in college. Now, when we get to the world level, which I'm sure he's going to move up to and have some success there as well, that's always a possibility. But with the ankle bands on, I don't foresee him losing at all. So I do have Aaron Brooks over Hidley in the finals. One match I am excited about, though, in the bracket, and I don't foresee it being either of being extremely competitive, but I'm really looking forward to Stephen Little. Neil has spoken very highly of him, and that they have really big expectations for him. So, but he's gonna have his hands full with Brooks, and then you have Silas Allred from Nebraska. I really like him. I have him upsetting Zach Glazer from Iowa. I don't think either one of them lose, but I am excited about those two matches. And with that being said, I think we have a little bit more parity at the next and last weight class, heavyweight. And why don't you let Matt P? He's probably the lightest guy I ever saw. Why don't you take the heavyweight, Matt P?
Yeah, so Greg Kirkvliet, number 1, Penn State, returning finalist. Colton Schultz, a guy who's been in the mix for several years now, Greco specialist. Wyatt Hendricks, third place finisher last year, a guy who's very dynamic, can score a lot of points. And then down at the bottom, Younger Bastida, bumping up from 97 last year and kind of just train wrecking people at heavyweight. Think it's a great weight class. Really, those top 4 are kind of the guys, and after that, it's kind of a drop off, I think. On the top side, I've got Kirkvliet running through to Schultz. On the bottom, I've got Hendrickson running to Bastida. I've got Bastida winning on the bottom side, and I've got Kirkvliet winning on the top side. And I think Kirkvliet gets it done in a very competitive match.
Frost?
Yeah, I would say Kirkvliet's going to go through. I think not tough match, but I think he's gonna end up having a match with Feldman, because Feldman wrestled him. He took him down in the Big Ten finals. So maybe he makes some adjustments. Maybe he does, whatever he needs to do. But I still think Kirkvliet's going to come out on top. And I'm getting probably Schultz down there. I don't really see anybody down there stopping Schultz. So it's going to be Kirkvliet Schultz. And I'm going to take Kirkvliet on that one, making the finals.
Yeah, I'd agree. I feel like I don't know too much about heavyweights, but I feel like Greg is gonna do pretty good on the top side. You got, like you said, Schultz on the bottom here, and one kid that I feel like doesn't get talked about too much is that Dayton Pixar kid. He's really good. I think he's gonna have a very rough time with Schultz in the quarterfinals, but yeah, I got Colts and Greg going against each other in the semis.
All right, and I have on the top. Kirk Fleet is just. I remember the first time I saw him at Collegiate Duels a handful of years ago. I was like, "Who is that?" And like, what is that human being over there? And then to see him move. He moves like a 25-pounder. It's incredible. Nothing to take away anything from Schultz. I love him. He's going to do great for us in Greco, but I think that is where he is best suited on the mat from the waist up. And I think Kirk Fleet's athletic ability is just going to be too much in the semifinals. So I have Kirk Fleet making it to the finals. Wyatt Hendrickson is a great wrestler, very electric. Really good to see some high level success coming out of the Air Force Academy. But Younger Bastida is just a freak. I think he first moved down for the collegiate duels, if I'm not mistaken, and has been there since and has been a problem for the weight class since then. I think his athletic ability is going to be a little bit too much for Wyatt Hendrickson. In the finals, I have Kirk Fleet versus Bastida, and then with Kirk Fleet walking away with it and putting a dominating ending to Penn State, or an ending to the tournament where Penn State walks away with another national title. Matt P?
Yeah, I agree. I think Kirk Fleet's the guy. I think he gets a win in a great match, and I think Penn State dominates. I don't think it's even close.
All right, Sarpy, Frost?
No, I'd agree. I think it's gonna be Kirkleek and Basita in the finals, which are two good guys, but I feel like Kirkleek's gonna pull it off and win it.
I'm taking my guy Younger.
Yeah.
Kirk Fleet and Younger, and I'm taking Younger. Obviously, both of them have had a really good season, but that's going to be a really good match to watch. It's going to be really fun. Both of them super strong, super athletic guys, so I'm still taking Younger.
All right, perfect. Well, that brings us to a wrap on the 2024 in Crescent City Wrestling NCAA tournament pre-tournament podcast. Josh Sarpy, Jacob Frost, thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate the insight you were able to provide and provide that back to the kids of Louisiana. We're going to do a post-tournament podcast as well, and then probably after that, we'll bring you guys back on. I'm going to try and bring on some more of the college kids, and just really appreciate everything you guys are doing, representing the state of Louisiana, and on and off the mat. I've only heard great things about y'all, so keep doing exactly what y'all are doing, and can't wait to see y'all here soon enough.
Help. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And with that, we will see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.